Oh boy.
Greetings all you third-rate duelists with fourth-rate decks. DenDenBMX here. And today we're going to do something we haven't done in 84 years. Today we are going to talk about the dreaded butterfly knife clone. But more importantly, we're also going to talk about butterfly knife counterfeits. And I know a lot of full-grown men are absolutely terrified of balisong clones, so here's your solid trigger warning. Today's conversation is going to heavily involve balisong clones. I'm just looking out for you soft little butt babies. But something you should actually be worried about is this brand new counterfeit that just got released that may start a dangerous new trend. A trend that can actually be harmful to the balisong community. Now, since we last talked about them, my thoughts and opinions on clones have indeed changed a little bit. I know it's a crazy concept, but some people's thoughts and opinions actually do end up changing over time. But I still don't really view them as the war crime that a lot of American flippers think they are. You see, back in the dark ages of a couple years ago, your only real choices for an affordable, decent balisong was a BB barfly, a plastic squiddy, or getting a clone. And also, this may come as a shock to some Americans, but the USA is not the only country that exists. And for a lot of people outside of the good old US of A, it's almost impossible for them to get a hold of an expensive-ass US-made balisong. At least not without almost doubling the price thanks to international shipping and possibly breaking the law. So for a long time, clones were essentially the only way that a lot of people could get a hold of an affordable, good-flipping balisong. But ever since the rise of Nabali's, Thomas Balisong, and the litany of other brands that make affordable, good-flipping balisong trainers that are legal pretty much everywhere, clones don't really have to be the budget placeholder in the balisong market anymore. They aren't really the necessary evil that they once were. Most everyone in the world can now get a pretty decent balisong for a pretty decent price without having to go the clone route. And I would indeed recommend that you support those brands over the clone brands nowadays. However, if you still want to go the clone route, I'm not really going to lose any sleep over it. I still have yet to see objective proof of clones directly affecting the sales of the brands that get cloned. However, what I did see the other day on Instagram ended up leaving me pretty dang flaccid, which is a problem, because I'm trying to stay hard out here. You see, I came across an Instagram account for a website that sells a litany of different clone brands, and they were advertising the most egregious counterfeit of a Squid Industries Tsunami that I've ever seen. Now, I know a lot of anti-clone people view every single clone as a counterfeit. They just lump them all together in the same category without an ounce of critical thinking involved. But as much as they want that to be the case, that's not exactly the truth. Now, some of the earliest clones were indeed just really bad counterfeits of brands like Benchmade. However, after a few years, these clone makers wised up and started doing things a hair bit more responsibly. Now, I'm saying responsibly, like relatively speaking, okay? Capitalism and responsibility go together about as well as toothpaste and orange juice. Maybe legally is a better word to use in this case. But instead of just making full-blown illegal counterfeits, these clone makers decided to start creating their own brands, like The One and Armed Shark. And then they would clone a balisong, but they would alter the design. Like if a balisong ran on tang pins, they'd make a version of it with Zen pins. Or if a balisong only ran on washers, they'd make a version of it with bushings. Or if a balisong had rounded handles, they'd make a version of it with squared handles, stuff like that. They aren't massive changes, no, but they do alter the design in identifiable ways. Then they would put their own logos and their own branding on the balisong and then sell it. And doing that is not a balisong exclusive thing. The practice of selling essentially the same thing under a different name happens literally everywhere. Food, medicine, clothing, electronics, other kinds of knives, and other kinds of skill toys. This is a mainstay in the joys of capitalism. You want a one-to-one example of this from a different hobby? Let's use guitars. One of the most famous guitar shapes is the Les Paul, and Gibson has a vice lock on the patents for that shape. However, there is no shortage of brands that make very blatant clones of the Les Paul. They alter the design, sure, but as little as they can legally get away with. LTD, Schecter, Jackson, PRS, Dean, Kiesel, Harley Benton, even the super cheap made in China brands that are sold on Amazon. Literally everyone makes a Les Paul clone, and those are very much indeed different to the counterfeit Gibson Les Pauls that you can buy on eBay for like $300. So when clones are made like that, I don't have an issue with them, because you can't try and sell them off as the real deal. The logos and the differences in the design are going to give them away, just like how you can't try and sell an LTD EC1000 off as a Gibson Les Paul. And also, there are some bozos that try to call balisongs clones when they have like one part of the design that's similar to another balisong. And those people are just not smart, man. Like, some opinions don't deserve respect. Now that is what I consider to be a balisong clone. Then there are balisong counterfeits. Counterfeits try to be as one-to-one as possible with the balisong that they're copying. They don't make any changes to the design. They may still have their own brand name, but on the actual balisong, they'll use the original brand's logo. Bali Plus is probably the biggest offender of this. And despite me saying that I don't support counterfeits multiple times, there's still people that somehow think that I'm okay with them. To be clear, I do not support counterfeits. Those things that you have on the side of your head, those are called ears. Please use them to actually listen to what I've said about clones in my past videos, instead of just making shit up. You boneheaded bitch. The reason I'm making this video is because the counterfeit that I saw on Instagram the other day was disgusting. It's called like the Blue River Tsunami or some shit. Not only did they make a full-blown one-to-one counterfeit of the Squid Industries Tsunami, logos and all, they copied the packaging, the stickers, they serialized them, and worst of all, they even made counterfeit COAs for them too. They went out of their way to try and make literally everything look as close as possible to a real Squid Industries product. And it is some next level slimeball shit. Numbering them and making fake COAs is completely unnecessary unless your goal is to scam people with these. Like a bitch. They even use the names of the guys that work at Squid Industries on these fake COAs. It's fucking gross. I have a large problem with these because tsunamis are fucking expensive, and now it's going to be hard to tell what is and is not a legit tsunami. So from now on, you all need to be really careful when buying a tsunami from literally anywhere that isn't directly from Squid Industries, even if you've been in this community for a while. It really sucks, but it's more than likely that someone in the not so distant future is going to get sold one of these counterfeit tsunamis thinking it's a legit one. Do not buy counterfeit balisongs that use the original brand's logos, and definitely do not buy these Blue River Tsunamis. Don't buy any of Blue River's products. Don't even support the distributors that carry their products. If you see these being advertised on Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, YouTube, literally anywhere, report them for selling and promoting illegal goods. And if you live in China, find out who's making these and fuck their mom. Marry her. Become their stay-at-home stepdad, and these need to be made an example of. And in the business world, you speak with your wallet. So please, do not give these chodes your money. That's the only way they're gonna stop making them. Support original balisong makers. There's not really any valid reason not to anymore. But if you have to buy a clone, please don't buy one with the original brand's logos on it, because that's not a clone. That's a counterfeit. Be careful out there, critters. And also, be grateful that I even made this video warning you guys in the first place. Not only did I film this entire video with a gnarly stomach ache, I also recently found out who you guys chose as the winner for the Lovely Legacy category in this year's Balisong Awards. You guys are fucking dumb.